itself is so inspiring, but it's hard at times, and sometimes you feel like people don't understand what you're doing, or is it really worthwhile? And to have people like this get involved is a real vote of confidence. It's very encouraging to a scientist to feel that these people would take a step out from their very successful lives and appreciate what's going on in biology.
We're joined now by two of the Breakthrough Prize's founding sponsors, Art Levinson, who's chairman of Genentech and Apple, and Mark Zuckerberg, the founder of Facebook. Welcome to both of you.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you very much.
And Mark, what would you say is the guiding principle behind these awards? What are you rewarding?
The main thing that I'm really excited about here is that I think that our society needs more heroes who are scientists and researchers and engineers. And, you know, the people who are getting this award are doing the real work. But the thing that we can do from the sidelines is set up these institutions that can celebrate their work and reward them. And I'm really honored to be a part of this institution that is set up to reward these folks for the great work that they're doing.
شفت كيفاش يقولوا بالراديو يقولوا نحن هنا في أمريكا يلزم المهندسين والعلماء متاعنا نعطوهم أكثر قيمة معناتها ونحتفلوا بهم ونعملوا لهم احتفالات باش يشجعوا بلدانهم على التقدم مش كيفنا نحن يهجوه اللي يفكر يخلوا كالبهم.
Look to signals like this for inspiration, and if we can play a role in helping more people do really important work that improve a lot of people's lives, then I think that that's an awesome thing for us to spend our time doing.
And Art, let's talk about the winners here. That it's heavy on your list. The winners are heavy in the Human Genome Project and cancer research, and these are big, prominent names, many of them connected with very well-funded institutions, Johns Hopkins and MIT. We're not talking about underdogs here who are scrapping and really needing funding, right?
They're not certainly underdogs, and as a result of their really fantastic efforts, for the most part, everybody's really quite well funded. Although, as we face the prospect of sequester and potential reductions to the NIH budget, which after all funds so much of the basic research, at least in this country, we're looking at potentially pretty tight times ahead.
Why do you think that this field, specifically cancer research and gene research, why is this where the money can do the most good, and with these winners?
Well, the way we approached the selection of winners was to take a look at those scientists who have made the fundamental discoveries, really independent of any particular therapeutic discipline. But then layered on top of that, we wanted to also address people who were tackling some of the most intractable diseases, like cancer, like immunological disorders, neurological disorders. So we put a certain emphasis on those individuals who had a translational component to their work affecting people who have some of the most serious diseases known.
I wonder if there would be scientists listening to this who are working really hard at unheralded, not very well-funded institutions who would look at this list of names and say, these guys don't need $3 million. They're doing fine. I need $3 million.
Well, they might be wondering that, but at the same time, one has to apportion any kind of prizes among those who have really made the most important achievements. So I don't really know any other way to do it than to really shine the spotlight on the people who have made the kind of contributions, and hopefully they'll serve as wonderful role models to the younger generation.
Does the Breakthrough Prize set out any priorities for how the money should be spent?
Oh no, it's a personal contribution to the person, to the individual who has received the award.
Which means they could do with it what they want.
They can go on a cruise, or they can continue and expand their own research efforts if they so choose. It's completely flexible.
What's your hope, Mr. Levinson, for what comes from this prize money?
My fondest hope is that there'd be widespread recognition of the winners who have worked so hard over the course of so many years to make these fundamental discoveries, and beyond that, to make sure to some extent that this process is revealed to some of the young people making career choices. Science is a fantastic field. Few of us went into the field initially with the idea that we were going to go into this field to make a lot of money. It was driven by a fundamental interest in basic discovery. That's certainly my own background here, and this just maybe provides an opportunity to show that if one is successful, in addition to all the joys associated with basic discovery, that there's a possibility for additional forms of recognition.
Art Levinson and Mark Zuckerberg, thanks so much for talking with us.
Pleasure being here. Thank you.
Thanks for having us. We're really excited about this.
That's Facebook founder Mark Zuckerberg and chairman of Apple and Genentech, Art Levinson. They're founding sponsors of the Breakthrough Prizes in Life Sciences, which were awarded to 11 researchers today. NPR News.
Snowfall expected throughout Colorado tonight. The National Weather Service says the Denver area could get 4 to 7 inches of accumulation by tomorrow morning. I'm Anna Pinoca at Colorado Public Radio. Lows will be in the mid-20s in Denver tonight. Highs will only be in the upper 20s along the Front Range tomorrow. We could get a couple more inches of snow tomorrow in the Denver area. Grand Junction could get rain and snow overnight, and snow likely in the mountains. Some areas could get up to 10 inches of accumulation.
Support for Colorado Public Radio comes from Cedar, dedicated to providing residential addiction treatment in Colorado with compassion, respect, and hope. Learn more at cedarcolorado.org.
Support comes from Shin Yung, reviving 5,000 years of Chinese classical dance and music at the Buell Theater, with new performances this Friday through Sunday and April 7th in Beaver Creek. Tickets at ticketingbox.com.
Hello, I'm Dr. Morris Sussman. My wife Ellen and I feel very strongly about promoting the continued success of CPR, not only for ourselves, but more particularly for our children, grandchildren, and all of Colorado. For that reason, we decided to put CPR in our will, and we feel very good about it. If you would like to become a legacy partner, learn more at CPR.org.
This is All Things Considered from NPR News. I'm Melissa Block. There's a rapidly growing group of people in New York City, seen by almost everyone, but known by almost no one. Canners. They eke out a living collecting cans and bottles, redeeming them for a nickel apiece. And they're the subject of Matthew O'Neill and John Alpert's film Redemption, the second of the Oscar-nominated short documentaries that we're profiling this week. My co-host Audie Cornish talked with O'Neill about their project, and as we find out, canners often see the world through what they can redeem. For them, a $2.50 cup of coffee costs
50 cans. $2.50. And aromatic herbs coated in dark chocolate. That's 450 cans. 100 million cans for this townhouse.
100 million cans for a townhouse. Matthew O'Neill, tell us a little bit more about Walter, this person who is a canner.
It was wonderful to hear Walter's voice there. Actually, as I was taking the subway up to the studios, I saw a canner in the subway, and I was thinking of Walter because I thought, well, 250, that's 60 cans to get into the subway. That's what you'd need. But Walter was living on the streets for years. Very sadly, he passed away about 6 months ago. He was living underneath the West Side Highway and was hit by an Amtrak train.
My gosh.
And, so we mourn the loss of Walter, because I think Walter would have really enjoyed that this film is getting the attention that it is, because he thought it was important to let us into his life and show the world how canners are living on the streets of New York.
I'm so sorry to hear that. One of the things that is so striking about the film is that characters, people like Walter, they interview each other. You have them essentially asking each other about their lives.
It's their community, and they talk to each other on the street as they're working, and unfortunately, too many New Yorkers ignore them. So since no one else is asking them questions and talking, they're interacting with each other. When Sheila Nevins, the president of HBO Documentary Films, asked John Alpert and I to make this film, she had all these questions about who these people were, what were their backgrounds, because as a New Yorker, we see them on the street every day, and I'm sorry to say, until we made this film, I didn't spend a lot of time talking and asking about their lives.
And for people who may not be as familiar with this, describe what someone like Walter, looks like when they're coming down the street after a long day of canning.
Walter and many of the characters in the film can 18, 20 hours a day, and it's brutally difficult work. So their bodies are broken, and you can hear them, the clink of the cans coming down the street. Canners know when they hear the clink of a bottle going into a garbage bin, and we know when the bags are drawn down the street. We hear them scraping along, and our ears perk up.
Now, there's also this sense of loss in hearing people in the movie describe what they had been doing before canning became a way of life for them.
Before you started doing this, man, what were you doing? Actually, I was cooking a restaurant. Me too, man. I was a short order cook there downtown.
You said you came straight from Japan, or you used to work there before?
I Tom, where did you come from? You used to work in the World Trade Center? Yes.
I received a Bachelor of Science, and then I got into the computer industry. I've worked with Microsoft, I've worked with Compaq, and now I'm helping keep the city clean.
It's very much a community that of people who've kind of crossed a class border or crossed some sort of line.
In New York City, there are no jobs for the people and that are being marginalized and the working poor. Those jobs don't exist anymore. 50% of New Yorkers are living paycheck to paycheck right now. And that means that there's a lot of us who are 2 weeks away from digging through the trash to collect bottles and cans.
Many people in the movie also mention the competition and that this kind of growing sense that there are more and more people side by side with them competing for these cans. Did you actually end up finding that to be true?
Absolutely. You see in the film a real fight that happens between Susan and another canner. And in the 2.5 years over which we filmed Redemption, the number of canners on the street probably doubled. Downtown in Chinatown, where our community center is, there used to be lots of jobs for the Chinese. There used to be factories and sweatshops, and there was manufacturing, people making things, and all those jobs are gone. And now many of the people who used to work in those factories are on the street collecting bottles and cans.
Matthew O'Neill, he's one of the directors of the Oscar-nominated short documentary Redemption. Matthew, thank you for speaking with us.
Audie, thanks so much for having us on.
That's Matthew O'Neill talking with my co-host Audie Cornish as part of our conversations this week about Best Documentary Short Films. Now to an Oscar-winning crime drama, a tale of moral crisis from 1954 that's been brushed up and restored for modern home viewing. On the Waterfront is now out in a Blu-ray edition, and our critic Bob Mondello has been watching.
What do you see to get a nice pay around back?
Mugs and palookas, racketeers, and dock workers. Mob boss Lee J. Cobb running the union with an iron fist. Marlon Brando tripping up its control when Eva Marie Saint appeals to his conscience, urging him to go to the feds and rat out the rats.
He wanted my philosophy of life. Do it to him before he does it to you.
I never met anyone like you. There's not a spark of sentiment or romance or human kindness in your whole body.
What good does it do you besides get you in trouble?